Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting Bald Explorer Live. Yes, I am the Bald Explorer, and today, yes, I think I am alive. Live on Facebook and repeated all over the place on the internet, shared constantly from pillar to post. Which does get a bit tiring from time to time, but of course I have the energy. Someone's got to have the energy. Shared on the YouTube, the Tube of Views. We go and see plenty of yew trees, and on the YouTube we see yews of plenty. Yes, I'm Richard Vobes, the Bald Explorer, out and about with more walks this week. It's a Monday, ladies and gentlemen. It is a Monday, and what a fine Monday it has been. The rain has been shining all over us, soaking our bonces, making us wet. In fact, bringing the temperature right down to almost zero, ladies and gentlemen. I can tell you it has been 3 degrees in Worthing. I'm very upset. It is April. It is the end of April. It is the last day of April, ladies and gentlemen. The very last. Not the penultimate, the final day. 30 days has September, April, June and November. Tomorrow is May. May I say that can we please get rid of the rain and have some sunshine? The sun shines on the righteous. Except that tomorrow, even if it does shine, I should be doing some edits. I've got a whole backlog of edits. I've got edits for the Bald Explorer, and also I've got edits for the corporate clients that I have who desperately need their stuff. So I'm not going to be getting I'm not going to be getting out even if it is sunny, which is a right blow, because today I didn't get out terribly much because of the rain. Did I mention it was raining today? Yes, it was raining today. And it was miserable and cold and dull yesterday, and I was out and about filming with the lovely Julia, and it was a grim, miserable day then. Although I was at a very nice, interesting place, I'll let you know. Oh, yeah. Yes, it was very fascinating and interesting. I'll tell you more about that in the show as we progress. Once we have gone and seen if there's anybody actually watching this damn show. I'm hoping, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I'm hoping, ladies and gentlemen, to reveal fairly soon the wonderful thing that is Eric. Plans are afoot to bring the poor little purple-bodied, green-haired little archivist who he's a small miniature, a man of diminutive proportions. I have plans to bring him out of there and on the show, but I can't tell you too much about that. I've got to see a man called Chris Puller to talk to about that. If anybody knows Chris Puller, then you may know the sort of thing that he is into, and he's going to assist me in a way of bringing Eric to life, which would be great, which would be fantastic, which will add a whole new dimension to the show. I mean, we have guests on this show, of course. We have lovely guests. We have big guests, small guests, fat guests, thin guests. We have guests from all over. Your guest is as good as mine. We shove them on the show, we talk to them, and then we send them packing, never to have them back again. Now, that's not quite true, but we do have guests. But, of course, as soon as we have Eric on the show, ladies and gentlemen, as soon as we have this little chap, this little weird little archivist who used to work on the Vobes show many years ago, ladies and gentlemen, as soon as we have him on the show, we will have a huge audience that will just cannot wait to get to their internet connectivity gadget, whatever that may be, a tablet or a phone or a computer or a laptop or even a piece of irradiatable Disney doodahs, whatever that might be, and they'll be so keen to see this incredible Eric thing. But I can tell you no more about that because I am purely whetting your appetite. And I hope that your appetite has been completely soaked. In fact, mine's been so soaked that I'm just going to have a little piece of pink drink on the show. Always nice to have a bit of pink drink. Now, it's non-alcoholic, so don't you start thinking, oh, he's on the booze again. No, he's not on the booze, thank you very much. I believe this is Robinson's some sort of pink fruit cocktail, because it's supposed to be nice and warm and in the spring. But it's not nice and warm and in the spring. It's nice and cold and in the chill, I can tell you. So, excuse me whilst I have a slurp. Delish. Little bit of sugar there to keep the energy levels up, as you expect, because it's the beginning of the week, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I need to tell you, there are 610 members in the group. But by the end of May, look at me pointing my finger. Here, don't you point your finger at me, mate. I never meant to point it. It just flies out at me. I know that. It just flies out. The old finger waggle. Wiggly, wiggly, waggle. Yes. Well, anyway, by the end of May, I'm hoping, pray to the Lord that we have 700. That would be nice. We want to get up to 700, another 100 members. So if you know somebody out there, somebody who's not watching the Bald Explorer, not enjoying the daily walks that we shove out Monday to Friday, not coming to the live show Monday to Friday, not a patron of the Vobes, supporting the Vobes with a cup of coffee a month, the price of a cup of copy, and getting the Naked Englishman podcast, a daily podcast, 7 days a week, from the old mouth of the Baldy himself. If you know somebody who's not getting all those goodies, then I suggest you hot-foot it out and drag your neighbour into your room, wherever you happen to be, and show them this marvellous stuff that we are creating here. This incredible, sensational, never been done before. Well, may have been done a few times before, but not here, not on the Bald Explorer page. Go and get them and say, oi, the Baldy Explorer, he needs you. He needs you to support him, to get him to carry on, to continue with this amazing thing. Because the spring, I know it's raining, but the spring is here, and we do need to set one foot forward after the other, just as Captain Oates did when he said in his famous words, "I'm just stepping outside. I may be some time." And we are still waiting for the said Oates to come back with some videos of where he was walking, this snow-covered terrain, wherever it is. Anyway, let us see, ladies and gentlemen. Let us see if there is anybody out there actually watching the show. Sorry, a bit of a long preamble today's show, but that's okay. That's all right. We've got time, haven't we? We've got the rest of my life. Thank you very much. So let's go and have a look and see if there's anybody actually watching, whether I'm actually talking to myself. Well, it does appear, ladies and gentlemen, it does actually appear that there are people there on Facebook live. If you're on YouTube, of course, and you're commenting, it's not actually live, it's a rerun. I apologise about that. Andy Ash says, I've lost him. Mark Selwood says, he's talking to someone. Everyone's lovely. The podcast is worth every penny, says Richard Suggett. Thank you, Richard Suggett. That's very kind of you. Kevin Hall is there, Nikki Jess, Alan Piddington, Dawn Lindsay has arrived, and Terry Wood, and a bunch of others who I haven't actually seen their names pop up, but I'm absolutely certain they are. I would like, ladies and gentlemen, somehow to improve the chat facility here, so that I can actually see everybody who's watching at any one time, and to see all the comments, because they sort of float by too quickly, and when you're glancing down, it's not so good. Matthew Holdsworth is here. Thank you, Matthew. I should let you know that Matthew Holdsworth and I have been, last week we did the recording. It is now up. If you're watching the Bald Explorer walking videos, you'll be thrilled to know that not only is Matthew Holdsworth in today's show, if you go and check out the Bald Explorer pages, you'll find it on Facebook and on YouTube, but Matthew Holdsworth and I are also going out tomorrow on video, and on Wednesday we recorded three videos in one day. It was no sweat off us. Matthew was saying by the end of it, please let me go home, please, I've got a wife and 2 eyelids to support, please let me home. And I said, no, we are going to do 3 of them. And we're going to piss off Mark English, because he's done one up at Reigate Hill. We're going to go up on Reigate Hill, I said. We're going to go and make one there, because just to prove we can, prove that our legs can carry us to the top of the hill, and we can get up to the fort and say, I'm the king of the castle, get down, you dirty rascal. He may have English in his name, but we, ladies and gentlemen, Matthew Holdsworth and I, we had the Englishman's spirit. We made 3 films in one day. So there we are. So that's no slur on Mark English, because he's a lovely bloke and he's got loads of videos. You should check them out on his YouTube page. Just put Mark with a Q instead of a K, so you never have to Q to get your K. Mark with a Q, English, into YouTube, and you'll find a whole host of stuff, especially if you're into spiritual research. research, sort of ghosts and that sort of... When I say spiritual, I mean not as in, religious, I mean in spirits research. I don't know what... Not alcoholic, no, it's not nipping down to the old AA or the old RAC, as I like to say. No, it's not that kind of research. It's, I'll just have a little drinky, I'll just have a drinky with me. Hoo, hoo. Hard to believe that an hour ago I was having a snooze. Yes, it's true. I woke up a bit late and I went, oh my God, I've got a show to do. What the hell am I going to talk about? And now I still don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, it's lovely to see everybody. Thank you so much for coming. You're all very, very welcome. Mark English is there and he's already he's leapt to it. He is the marketing man at the first opportunity. Hey, yes, I've got videos. Here, there. Which is brilliant. That's what this is all about. If you've got a video that you've got on YouTube or you've got something you want to share, share it in the chat room. Let everybody know. Shout to the highest rafter, because that's what this show is about. I do a lot of shouting in this show. You may have noticed. You may have minimised me and put me to the side of the screen. If you are one of those people who have now minimised me and put me to the side of the screen because you're doing something else, I salute you, sir. I salute you, madam. Yes, indeed. Why not? Because I'm spouting rubbish and I know it. I know. There is a man under the table with his hand up my... Well, never mind where his hand is, but he is operating me and he has no idea what he's doing either. So there you are. Anyway, it's very good. Paranormal. That's right. Mr. Richard, change your calendar live on screen now. Your calendar live? Oh, this. Oh, yes, that's a good idea. Let's change the calendar. Here we go. Live. I do all the requests here. Here is the April picture. As you can see, it's a lovely picture with my head turned away. The handsome visage, which is my lovely bonce, is turned from you, and I'm looking with pensiveness into the deep blue of the stream. Actually, that was at Petworth Park, so it's not a stream, it's a lake. But anyway, never mind that. So let us now, live on the show, with, let's see if we can find some Turning the Page live music. Here it is. That's how we do it in this, and it's there you get to see the visage of the Bald Explorer looking incredibly chirpy and happy. That's very nice, isn't it? There he is. I'm sitting down because my legs have dropped off. But, yeah, they're puffed out, I think. But looking very handsome there. If you would like a signed photograph of said me like that, send your request in on the back of a £50 note, and I will make sure that you get a signed photograph of me looking happy. More the happier for getting that £50 note, I should hasten to add. There we are. So, run out of calendars now. That one has just dropped down into the basement. Apologise without that. Eric! That's right, sir. Could you pass up the calendar, please? Can you pass it up to me? That's right, sir. Never mind, that's right, sir. Just pass it up. Come on. Oh, thanks. There we go. We'll try that. Take two, ladies and gentlemen. Take two. We'll pin it up. There we are. Pin it up with Mr. Pinochet. There we go. Look at that. Handsome devil, part of the studio. This is my pith helmet here, ladies and gentlemen. Got that the wrong way round. There's my pith helmet. Not taking the pith, honestly. It is a genuine 100% pith helmet used in the Boer War. Well, the war that I bore everybody else when I was wearing it, but not the official war. Anyway, there we are. I always thought you were a bit of a puppet, said Mick Baines. Thanks, Mick. Yes, that's very true, actually. Is that Money Man Tree killer jacket? Yes, it's cold, ladies and gentlemen. I have my Harris tweed jacket on because it's cold. It's cold. Cold in the studio. I mean, we're in April. We're in May nearly. We're virtually in May. We are hours. We are out. Hang on. Let's just wait for May. We'll just wait for May. Hold on. May won't be long. It's only in the UK. May will be here any second. It's just after 8 now in the evening. British summertime. So what have we got? 4 hours. Less than 4. 3 hours and what? 45 minutes? 3 hours and 45 minutes. 3 hours. 45 minutes to go. And then it'll be May. 3 hours and 45 minutes, perhaps 44 minutes now, maybe. Maybe it's 3 hours and 40... Who knows? Oh, I can't wait for May. Let's carry on with the show. So, on the show, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, Saturday, Are you one of those lovely people, one of those magnificent people, one of those special people who was chosen by the powers that is to come along to Bramber and meet the Vobie, One-Eyed Kenobi and the rest of the group? The rest, not all of them, because some of them were busy, but a large majority. Were you some of those wonderful people who came along and met up with the group? Were you? Were you? Well, if you didn't, you missed a fantastic time. The pictures are on the Bald Explorer group page on Facebook. There are some wonderful pictures. People went out, took pictures of Bramber, the lovely village of Bramber. Lots of exciting things to see in the village of Bramber, particularly old buildings. If you like old buildings, plenty of old buildings there. There were quite a few old people doddering around as well. Not in our group. Not in our group, by jolly. Goodness gracious, there were sprightly people in our group. Sprightly. So sprightly. There was one, I don't know if you noticed him, there was one bloke who came along to the Bald Explorer group. He was like a little boy. He wasn't a little boy, he was a grown-up, but he was just like, I don't know, I've never seen anything quite like it. He was running around after the nosh. They had a nice nosh inside at the Castle Hotel. But he was running, larking about, showing off, is what I would call it, ladies and gentlemen. Showing off. He started to run and run up to the motte. He couldn't get up the motte very well, slipping over. Then he climbed up a tree, and it snapped. Fell on his back, almost decapitating his co-host on the show, the purple beauty that is the lovely Julia. Nearly decapitated her when the great trunk of this tree went flying down. It was a nightmare. Then he climbed up another tree and got himself wedged in. There are pictures, ladies and gentlemen. I suppose you want to see the pictures, don't you? You want to see the pictures. Let's get up the pictures, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see what you were missing. So here we go. This was the Bald Explorer group. I forget who took this photograph. I nicked it from somebody else. It wasn't me, because you can see there I'm looking at a worm on the floor. You've got Martin Snow in the centre in orange with his parachute. And actually it's a backpack. It's a jet pack, actually, because he was going to jet high up into the sky and tell us all about the excitement of Bramber, which was very nice. A whole bunch of fascinating people there, as you can see. And that was just a small sample. The others were hiding in the bushes or in the undergrowth. We even had a couple of dogs. There were a couple of children there. It was absolutely lovely. Julia's mother and father, husband and son were there, which was lovely to see, as well as all sorts of exciting people. So they were some of the people. And of course, remember, you can't please all the people all of the time, but you can please some of them, and some of them you do. And then there was this bloke, this strange, quirky-looking chap who managed to get himself stuck in a tree. I don't know what the tree is. He couldn't identify it, poor soul. But he did his best to sort of cheer people up as much as he could. There were a lot of posing by this particular individual, I noticed. Lots of posing by the trees. He seemed to have a thing for the trees. And then at some point somebody said, "That is enough." Grabbed him by the balls, as you can see there, gave them a very big squeeze, and he was in absolute agony. There are videos, of course. The lovely Julia was slightly shocked by that when that happened, and saw that her co-host had been, had been interfered with, I'm afraid to say. But it was perfectly all right. Everybody was laughing. Martin Snow was laughing. Richard Suggett was laughing. And not Michael. No, not Michael. It's easy to get confused, but that's Andrew, ladies and gentlemen. Andrew Leach on the right-hand side. A lot of people think he's called Michael, and actually, when he was being baptised, the vicar got it wrong as well. But it's a good job I knew what he was called. It's a good job I knew exactly what his name was, so there we are. Anyway, there are plenty of pictures on the group. Go and check them out on the group. You can see more of other people's stuff. But, all good fun. We had a laugh. I did run around somewhat on the parapet as well of the castle, going, "I'm the king of the castle. I'm the dirty rat. I'm not..." Anyway, it was great fun. We had a good time. So I hope that if we ever have one of these again, that you will come along and you will come and support the old baldy one-eyed Kenobi Obi Doody, because it was great, and everybody should. Those that went there would be good. Anning Pillington says, "It wasn't beer, Dave. It was coffee." Yes, I was just drinking coffee. I was only on the coffee, but somebody bought me I tell you, it was Julia's dad bought me the second coffee. I bought one, and Julia's dad bought it. That was enough. That was enough. Zipped off I jolly well went. Monkey Man Tree Killer says Alan. Yes, that's true. How's your knackers, Richard? Well, I've been walking with a very strange gait recently. I should have left it in the frame, but no, I've been walking very, very strange gait. Should have padlocked it up. Chris DeSantos has joined. Hello, Chris DeSantos. Lovely to see you, but you've missed the best part of the show. You really... The first bit is the best part. All goes downhill after that, but anyway, it's lovely to see you. Nikki Jess says, hi, Todd. And Mark Selwood is saying, I feel like Richard's talking to me. I am talking to you, Mark. I can see what you're doing, Mark, because unbeknown to you, over the weekend, I've managed to get the IP addresses of every one of my viewers, you see, and using that and a bit of Google Maps, I can pinpoint where you live. And the moment you go out, I put in a tiny little webcam, the size of a button it is, and it's hidden very close to your monitor, tablet, screen, whatever it is. And so I can see exactly. I don't want to tell people how you're dressed today, Mark, but I would seriously advise, because of the temperature and because things do shrivel in the cold, that you pull them up now. That would be my advice to you. So there we are. Jennifer Stewart says his voice sounds a little higher pitched. Yes, that's right. My voice is a little bit higher pitched. Thanks for that. I am recovering. My doctor has prescribed some very special cream, but unfortunately, as yet, I've not found anyone who's prepared to rub it in. So I have it unopened, which is a bit of a shame. So there we are. Anyway, that was Steve Pilfold says, I clearly missed out on Saturday. Yes, you missed a good thing. It was great fun. Everybody loved it. And so far I haven't had the letters of complaint. But Monday you don't get the letters of complaint because it was too late to catch the post on Saturday. So I probably get them on Tuesday. Whereupon I'll be having a bonfire in the garden. And why not? Got to keep warm in this cold temperature. Anyway, so that was that. So we had a lovely time. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. Here we are, because you all like getting out and doing a bit of walking and all that sort of stuff. So here's my question for today's show. Here's my question. I want to talk about the food and drink that you take on a walk. What do you take on a walk? Do you take a flask of coffee? Do you take a flask of tea? Do you take biscuits with you or make sandwiches? Or do you take these special superfoods? What do you take when you go for a walk? I'd love to know. Bung your comments in the comments box. Tell me what it is that you take on a walk. What do you take with you that sustains you? Be interested to see that. I'll tell you what I take. The thing that I take... I used to take bottles of water, but you've got to carry it about, haven't you? I find this is the best thing to take. An apple. An apple. I like it. It gives you a little bit of energy, but it also contains in it enough juice to keep you going. Especially, on a hot day, you just want a little bit, and it releases the juice nice and slowly. So I think an apple is a perfect solution for me. But what do you do? Do you take energy drinks? Do you take these energy bars? How about these oat bars and these cake bars or whatever they are, these soap bars? No, don't take soap bar. You'll be foaming at the mouth when you look at the wrong tree. So that's no good. Valkyrie. Now, Valkyrie Brumbly, you've got to... I'm saying this wrong. I know it's your name and I'm just insulting you now. How do you pronounce Valkyrie? Is it Valkyrie? Valkyrie Brumby. Valkyrie I'm struggling and I'm embarrassing myself. I know I'm embarrassed, but I'm not that embarrassed, actually. But flask of tea, bar of dark chocolate, crystallised ginger and apple. How do you pronounce your name? Can you put it out there phonetically for me? That would be great. Because I'm clearly making a complete and utter tit of myself, ladies and gentlemen. A complete and utter tit is what I'm doing. Keep it clean. Richard Suggett says, sandwiches, scotch eggs and fruit, not forgetting coffee. That's a veritable feast, Richard Suggett, that you take with you, which is lovely. Normal, forget everything, says Alan. Yes, I normally have the intention. We used to, when I was going out with Harriet, we would go on a walk and we'd go up, say, to the Stiper Stones, and I'd say, we should have bought some soup, or we should have bought some coffee, or we should have brought something. And do you know what? We had forgotten. And Harriet would have a bottle of water often. Sometimes we'd not even take that. Water and always a packed lunch. We never eat out. Don't you take your packed lunch and you don't eat that out. Where do you eat? We eat that in then, your packed lunch? I'm confused. Linda Kane says cheese and tomato sandwiches need to be sat on for a while. Yes, always good to get that sort of squished, especially if it's, like Mother's Pride, and you really get that sort of mashed together bread and tomato effect. That's a perfect effect, isn't it? Maggie Walters, of course, is saying, on mountain hikes, I take vegetable soup. Yeah, I think the soup idea is perfect. A homemade flapjack, no refined sugar. Yes, always use unrefined sugar. Some of that coarse sugar that looks up at you and swears in some despicable language. They're always good. And mixed nuts. Well, whenever I'm walking with somebody, I'm usually in the company of some mixed nuts, so that's all right. Kevin Hall says, when we go for a walk, we take coffee, water, sandwiches, a protein bar, and banana. Now, I don't really understand what is a protein bar. I would love to know what that really means. Valkyrie. Oh, Valkyrie. Oh, there we go. You see, it's easy when it's put phonetically. It's very easy. Sorry, Valkyrie. Valkyrie. There we are. It's Valkyrie. Thank you, Valkyrie. A lovely name. Lovely, and please don't come round my house with a baseball bat and smack my face in. It's just, some names I just, especially when you're nervous and you're live on the show. Not that I'm particularly nervous at the moment. Anyway, thanks for that, Jen. I drink a lot of water. I take a flask of decaf coffee too. Oh, there we are, Maggie Waters. Decaffeinated coffee. Always helping, even when not asked. There we go. Actually, Jennifer, that's very true, but my kitchen does need a bit of a wipe down. So if you could get yourself over and give it a bit of a clean up, that would be great. Although I have now asked you, so I suppose that's no good. That's sort of cancelled it out if I've had to ask, isn't it? And a jam donut. Now you're talking. A jam donut, very nice. Give you a bit of energy, which is very good. Hot chocolate if it's cold. Now that is a good idea. Never thought about taking hot chocolate. That would be lovely. Drinking lots of water for a hike. A few wild wheeze. Yes. Well, it's all right for the blokes, but what about the girls? Where do the girls go when they go for wild wheeze in the Wild West? Usually squatting down on a thicket of some description, but let's not dwell on that, shall we? Anyway, so there we go. Mick Bain says, I like nuts left alone. Thanks very much. Yes, I like my nuts left alone. Valkyrie Brumby says, you're not the only one who's mispronounced my name over the years. I'm sure. It's take nothing, dear, not go too far. Take nothing, dear, not go too far, says Nicky Jess. Work that one out if you can. And Matthew Holter's definitely Kendal mint cake. Oh, yes. Well, it's funny because when I went to Shrewsbury has something called the Shrewsbury Cakes. And there used to be a shop just up from the castle many, many years ago where the Shrewsbury Cakes, and it's really just a sort of a very sugary biscuit is what it is. It's either a Shrewsbury biscuit or anyway, I did a thing on it some years ago, forgotten all about it now. But actually, the curious thing is, you go into Shrewsbury, you try and buy one of these famous Shrewsbury cakes, yeah? They don't make them in Shrewsbury anymore. No, I think they make them in Ludlow and have them shipped up. I'm surprised they're not made in China, although, of course, it would chip in your mouth. Matthew said that. Terry Wood likes sandwiches, coffee and chocolate. I'll be on the next plane to Gatwick. Keep supper warm for me. I tell you what, Jennifer, I make a mean homemade soup. Today, I made a lovely... I'll tell you what I made today. I made a homemade... It was cold. It felt like winter. I had the fire going, and I made a homemade soup. Delicious it was. Absolutely delicious. It was potato and lentil with a bit of vegetable broth, a little bit of parsley shoved in, some celery, and some onions. And that was about it, really. A little bit of black pepper, not too much, because not everybody likes a bit of black pepper, and it was delicious. And on the side, I got this very lovely smoked cheese, which I did purchase it, unlike Richard Suggett, who smokes his own cheese, though getting it to light to begin with is very tricky. But, it was very delicious. I have to say, it was very nice. Mark Selwood says, all the names are made up, surely. All names. Someone's got to think of the names, aren't they? Maggie Walters says she likes soup. Ride of the Valkyries. There we go. Da 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 da. Is that the one you mean? Probably now got copyright slapped all over me and won't be able to put another show up. That's the way it works. Okay, so that was the food. Thank you very much for sharing those ideas. That was absolutely splendid, absolutely lovely. It's going well, isn't it, tonight? It's going well. Do you know, earlier this evening, I was actually dreading doing the show. I woke up from my little slumber. Had a little slumber, about 9 hours in the afternoon. A little slumber, and I was thinking, oh, golly, I've got to do the show. What can I do? What can I talk about? I wasn't really in the mood to do a show. I was having a mood and not in the mood to do a show. I don't know if you've ever been in that, where you know you've got to do something. You've got to be alert. You've got to be alive. You've got to give out a bit of energy. But you really just cannot be ARSED'd about it. You really can't be bothered. You really can't. You've ever been in that mood, and then you kind of sit in there and you're slowly getting the thing together, and you're thinking, I don't want to do this. I really don't want to. Maybe I should curtail these shows. Is it worth keeping these shows? There's only 35 people watching. You see, I'm looking down there. I've got 36 people. I beg your pardon. So only 36 people. You start to think, been doing this for a long time now. Fair old time. Only 36 people watching live on a Monday, and you go, well, should we carry on? Is it worth it? Is it a lot of energy? Should I just focus on the walks? Maybe that's what people want to do. So I was having a bit of a sort of, self-gazing looking at my belly button business. So I'm still not 100% certain whether we're building the audience or not with this live thing, but, it's keeping a few of you off the streets, which is good. For God's sake, don't come to London, because apparently now London is the worst place for getting knifed. So don't go into London. It's not very knife in London, or it's too knife, I suppose, because the gangs are, worse than New York. So nice, they killed them twice. Anyway, most days, says Steve Pilfold, he says, I'm in that mood. Yes, well, I hope it was just a reflection of the weather, you see, because when it's raining and it's wet and you can't do things and it's miserable and it's cold, you just don't feel like it, do you? And you've got to get round to it. So Andy Ash says he feels like that every day before work. Yeah, that's true. Andrew Doggett has come out from under the slumber packet. Packet? I don't know what that is. And he said, don't stop. Mark Selwood says, love the show. So, this is the pressure I'm under. I'm under the pressure because people say, no, we want you to do it. But the thing is, there's only 35 people watching, and you do start to go, ooh, what do we do? How do you keep going? Where's the, Anyway, let's not dwell on that. We're having a happy day today. So, I'm going to go to the group in a minute, but I want to tell you that this week, coming up on Wednesday night at 8 o'clock, and so please, if you can come along and support him, we have the very lovely Chris Bedford, otherwise known as Dump Man. Yes, he's going to take a dump on the show live. No, what am I saying? He's called Dump Man. It's an old name that he was given. We'll find out how he got that name on the show. In fact, that'll be one of the number one questions that I will be asking him. He is the man that's taken me around the disused railways of Sussex and into Kent, and he's got some other ideas of places to go. He has been himself out and about doing some more videos, some fresh videos, so you can check him out at Dumpman Films. Just put that into Google, you'll find, I can't remember exactly the email address, but you'll find the website address, but you'll find it there. Put Dumpman Films into Google and you'll find them. Somebody will find it and put a link in the description. That would be great. Thank you very much. He's coming on Wednesday. Now, he's a softly spoken man who listens to Motorhead. I can't say that I've ever listened to Motorhead. I'm not really sure. I know they're a band, but I'm not very good on music. You talk to Nick Tan, he'll tell you how rubbish I am at music. I listen to stuff that sounds like this. And the lovely Julia can confirm that, because every time she gets in my car, I've put some of these onto a CD, and she's suffered. She says, "Oh, do you mind turning your music off?" And I put some proper music on, and then she's got commercial music, the stuff that people the real people listen to. Not this sort of nonsense that I love it though. I love it. It is really fun driving along with this sort of 1970s funk seeping out of the window. I love it. It gets me through from pillar to post when I'm driving about. Anyway, so there we are. So it's all quite fun. as you can imagine. Anyway, enough of that. So that's on Wednesday. The following Wednesday, Richard Suggett is going to come in here. We don't know what's going to happen because it all depends if there's some little growth that he's got. Not on his face. We know he's got a lovely growth on his chin and stuff. But I'm talking about in his vegetable patch. He's going to go plodding out there with his big, hefty Wellington boots, and he's going to rummage around and see what he's got. Apparently, he has got some of those long red things. Yes, rhubarb. Rhubarb. The guys are new. You're going to pull up the rhubarb. Your rhubarb. It's a bra Brit moonlit night tonight. This is Reet. You're buying the rhubarb. They're not buying the rhubarb from you. No, not one little tiny bit of it. I don't like rhubarb from you. Rhubarb. Sorry, a moment. That was my French, my best French accent, that was. Oh, no, you little tease with your little French accent. Oh, yes, indeed. I like a little bit of rhubarb. Everybody likes a little bit of rhubarb. So anyway, we're going to have some rhubarb. We're going to do something with rhubarb. And hopefully not too rude barb. We don't want any of those barbs of rue. That would be very silly. Anyway, so rhubarb with Richard Suggett and other things. We'll be finding out what his quails have been getting up to recently, probably laying more eggs, and all sorts of other things that he's been doing. Because the other thing that Richard Suggett does, yes, talked about smoked cheese earlier, he smokes his own cheese. And I want to find out exactly how that process works. He's got his own homemade cheese smoker. So he'll be bringing her on as well. So that would be great. So we're looking forward to that. So the 2 Wednesdays, we've got some fantastic shows. And, ladies and gentlemen, also this week, I know it's almost beyond comprehension, I am going to be up in Cambridgeshire. Yes, Cambridgeshire, to see the lovely Simon Brown. Simon Brown has been a long-time viewer of the old Vobie One-Eyed Kenobi, been a great supporter, and at Christmas he sent me a big packet of money, which was very nice, Monopoly money as it happened, so I couldn't spend it, but anyway, it was very nice, and he's going to put me up, and his dear wife is going to be pulling her hair out as I bring the studio. We're going to be doing live shows, at least 2 shows, Thursday night and Friday night. From Simon Brown, from St. Neots. Well, it's not St. Neots. I keep forgetting what the name is. It's a little village next to St. Neots, which is, I should know this. It's a lovely place. Anyway, I don't know if Simon Brown's out there tonight, probably hiding under a duvet, and I don't blame him. But anyway, going to be doing 2 live shows from Simon Brown's house. And Simon Brown is a keen cyclist. Only recently he took up cycling. He has a spare bike, and we're hoping that the weather is great. We're going to go cycling and try and do something on a bicycle. I hope I don't collide with a big truck, because I'll have one hand holding the gimbal and my little whatever you call it, the GoPro, thank you, and then the other on the handlebars, and I shall have one eye on the road, and that's about it really, because I have only the one eye. But anyway, we're going to be cycling and we're going to be walking somewhere very nice. We may go to Ely. He's got a bunch of places. I mentioned them on the show the other week, so I don't know why I'm talking about it now, because you probably remember and I don't. But anyway, that's all quite good. Richard Suggett says, cut the flower of the rhubarb as soon as possible. He's advising Matthew Holdsworth. Oh, matron, take them away. Yes, that's right. I don't like rhubarb. Too tart. Oh, you little tart. Know what I mean? Yeah, well, you can sweeten it up. You can sweeten it up with a little bit of that white poison, which we call sugar. But anyway, so that's coming up. We've done the favourite food thing. Before we go to the group, ladies and gentlemen, let's just see how we're doing with the old time. It's 20 to 9. I don't know if there's a programme you're itching to go and see at 20 to 9, but hold fire. You can set the VCR. That's old language, isn't it? You can set the VCR. Remember setting the VCR? What a palaver that was. And your parents, my parents would always go, Richard. They would ring me up with a dial phone. Richard, any chance you could come round? I'm trying to set up the VCR. Oh, yeah. You want to record something? Yes, I need to record it at 9 o'clock. Oh, right. On BBC One. Yes, OK. Well, I'll come over and sort. It's on BBC One. Yes, you told me that. I will come over. It's plenty of time. It's only 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Oh, I know, but it takes so long to set it up. You will come over, won't you? I want to record it because I'm watching something on BBC Two. Well, yeah, thank you. We don't have those sort of conversations, fortunately, anymore. Although you've got the iPlayer and, you know... The iPlayer doesn't work. How can you do that, Dad? You're dead. Oh, yes. See? Dead people don't need to watch the iPlayer. I don't think. Anyway, so, yeah, what was I going to talk about? Oh, yes. Yes, of course. So, no, I've lost it. I've lost my train of thought. Anyway, yeah, so, there was something I was going to say. I was going to say something. I've forgotten what it was. Shall we go into the group and do it? Yeah, let's go into the group now. I think I'm being told by my invisible producer. Yes, thank you, invisible producer. Yes, I wish your voice was invisible. It's invisible to the viewer. Yes, I realise that. But we'll go into the group, ladies and gentlemen. Find out what you've been posting and what silly things you've been up to. So let's, first of all, get the old group music going. And we do that by pressing a button. Now, I do apologise that I can't send your pictures back because, actually, I don't have them. I just have some ones and zeros. So here's the first bunch of ones and zeros. This is Wendy Wakelin. Wendy Wakelin, the lovely Wendy Wakelin, I should say, because everybody's lovely in this show. And she's taken her steam engine, her traction engine, with the little thing on the back. Now, that's a black and white picture, which makes me think that this is an old picture, but there is a car, a sneaky little car in the background there. I don't know if you can see that. And this is in Selborne. Well, the lovely Julia and I were in Selborne yesterday, actually, and the lovely Julia has posted a whole host of pictures. Go and check them out in the group at Selborne. Talk about that in a mo. Anyway, there's the traction engine going through past the Selborne Gallery, up by the church, very close to the church, and near Gilbert White's house, but we'll talk about that. And the lovely Wendy says that actually the traction engine is all ready now. It's all ready, and she's going to invite me to some of the gigs that they're going to. And I'm going to go there and interview it and have a ride on the traction engine, which would be lovely. So, moving on, we go over to St Leonard's Forest near Horsham. This is Judith Oakley, and she's captured, not only has she captured the sun casting its lovely little sort of rainbow rays through the trees, but she's also got the bluebells there, a veritable forest of bluebells, which is absolutely amazing. Now, I do have some bluebells on video to show you, but not yet. You'll have to wait until Wednesday for those, because Matthew Holdsworth and I, we went up on Reigate Hill and we managed to get some there. Now, in Bramber, as part of the meet-up, this is Sarah Poole. Sarah Poole, lovely Sarah Poole. I have to say she's lovely because everybody's lovely in this show. Lovely Sarah Poole brought her lovely husband with her to the meet-up, and he came out from underneath this strange little toadstool. No, not at all. She's actually into Morris dancing, which is curious. So I did ask her if we could come and do an interview her, but she said no, we don't stay still long enough. So that was a bit of a shame. But anyway, she found in Bramber a little garden with a whole host of funny-looking things. Check out the pictures. I only put in one picture up at a time, so it gives you an incentive to go and check out the group and check out the pictures. Here is a tree that seems to have ignored the fact that there is a fence in the way. This is Paul Hine, who's been at Twyford, and a while ago, some years ago now, it doesn't seem that long ago, but actually when you look at it, something like 20-odd years ago, there was a whole host of trouble in Twyford. This wasn't it. It wasn't the fact that the trees were sort of taking over the world slowly by growing into the iron fences, but... Anyway, he was out for a walk and he noticed that, took a picture, which is just the sort of thing that we like to have happen in the show. Now, this is a photo of Gilbert White's house. I'm afraid the weather was a bit miserable, but actually the picture came out far better than my pictures. And Gilbert White was a naturalist. Not a naturist, a naturalist. You have to get that in the right way round because he didn't take his clothes off and run around the bluebells. But he did study the world around him, nature around him, and he wrote this remarkable book called, now I've got to remember this, the history of the natural history and antiquities of Selborne, and he's famous for this book because this book is the fourth most still in print book in the world, published in 1789. Anyway, he lived in this lovely little house here, as you can see. Not so little, actually, when you get there, because it rambles on quite a bit. That's Julia took that picture when we were out and about there, and I'll talk a little bit about that a bit more. We saw a toadstool a few moments ago. Well, I tell you, Dean Rhodes, who came to the meet-up, very lovely bloke. Dean Rhodes with a wonderful haircut, I have to say, and I very much wish I could do a Mohican myself. But Dean he's been out on the fungi trail, and I said to him, as you may have noticed in the group, I said, I'd love to go on a fungi trail. Would you take me on a fungi? Because he had pictures of loads of different mushrooms and things. And he said yes, so we're going to try and pick a date to do that. Dean is also, he's from Nantwich originally, from Cheshire. And here is a winter picture from 2010, I think it is, in Nantwich, with the sun just about to rise or setting. I assume it's about to rise because there's nothing has melted. But a lovely picture there in Nantwich. Of course, it could be anywhere. We're only taking his word that it's actually Nantwich. It's probably down, it's probably in Croydon somewhere, really. But anyway, it's very nice. And here, if you wanted to see a picture of a copper beach, now is the time to go and see them. I was out with Matthew Holdsworth the other day, and we were seeing hundreds of those. And when we were driving, Julia and I, through the lovely Hampshire countryside, we saw copious amounts of copper beaches. But this one is Cynthia Walder has taken this copper beach, and this is near. Now I get this wrong every time. I like to call it Up Park, but it's not pronounced Up Park. Is it Uppock? Uppock? Whatever it is, we went past the Uppock or Up Park gates, or close to the gates, or a brown sign anyway. And apparently it's very nice in there. Well, it is very nice. Anyway, thanks to Cynthia Walder for posting that. Some other pictures. And finally, Maggie Walters. This is Maggie. No, this is Maggie's picture. I beg your pardon. Maggie is not perched on a trig point. She's the lovely lady holding. I have to say she's lovely because everybody's lovely in this show, and that's her lovely little dog. And I can't remember if that's Dottie or Dot or Alice or Alicey or maybe it's Melvin Peake. Who knows? But anyway, this was at I'm going to get this wrong, aren't I? I'm going to call this Kersney Hill near Leominster in Herefordshire. Herefordshire. And little, I think it's Dot. Is it little Dot or Dottie? I can't remember now. Lovely, lovely dog. And loves posing. Always good to put your dog on a pedestal. The fact that you can go into the countryside and find your own pedestals to put your dog on is remarkable. So thank you very much for that. Maggie, lovely little dog. I saw Maggie there earlier, so maybe you could just tell me what your dog was called. Dottie! I did say Dottie, didn't I? One of the things I said was Dottie. One of them, not Melvin Peake. Got that bit wrong. Or is it Mervyn Peake? Yeah, Mervyn Peake, I think it was. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. So there we go. We all like a bit of Green Man Volk. Sometimes, of course, I'm seeing these comments, about 15 minutes after they've been made. I've no idea to what they refer to, and that was one of those instances. I was right the first... Oh, it is Up Park. Oh, yeah, I remember saying that, and somebody said it's not pronounced Up Park, it's Uppock. Uppock? Aye. If it was up north, I'm going to Uppock Park. Uppock House. Aye. You're going to Uppock House? All right. Taking Whippet. Oh, Whippet, all right. Oh, whip it up there with pork pie. And, sorry, stereotypes again. Love to do the old stereotypes. Not politically correct anymore, but who cares, eh? Who cares? Obviously, the people who will break down my door, the PC police will come in and break my door. So, Gilbert White. Let's talk about Gilbert White for a moment, shall we? Gilbert White. Oh, yeah. Gilbert White was he was the first ecologist, really. He has got this lovely rambling house, and there's a museum inside the house, and I was invited to go there by the lovely Erica. Erica somebody or other, but I don't actually know Erica, your surname. She watches on YouTube mostly. She's a lovely lady. She knows me through Julian Humphreys, she told me. And she has a company called the Real Green Dress Company. And it's eco-friendly dresses. She does a lot of bridal dresses. very lovely. So she was at a wedding fair that was organised by the people who run the Gilbert House Museum and the Oates Collection. One has to get the correct names in there. And so she said, look, I've got this idea. I'm doing this wedding fair, but I can get you into the house. You could do a wander around the house and do a video. What about that? And I said, that would be brilliant. Let's do it. So yesterday was the day that we did it. And part of the wedding fair, there was a hand fastening, not fasting. You can't. How do you don't eat your hands. I'm constantly doing a hand fasting. Are you? Yeah. I resist eating my hands. I mean, I used to suck my thumb as a child, but I've got over that now. Now I'm into hand fasting. But there was a hand fastening ceremony, and I knew that Julia, being somewhat pagan, or having pagan sort of leanings, she was very interested in that, because I think that when she got married they were going to have a hand fastening ceremony, but it never actually happened, so she was fascinated. So I said to her, oh, I'm going to this thing, there's going to be a hand fastening, and she was, boom, oh, hello. The purple hair was ablaze, and she said, I'm coming. I said, right, okay, fair dues. So she came along as well, which made it, I have to say, ladies and gentlemen, it was a miserable weather day, and I was feeling grumpy, and I did feel sorry for poor Julia, because she had the Bald Explorer Grump with her, taking her up there, because I was just kind of downhearted because the weather was so bleak, and I wanted to, and I felt pressured to make this video really nice, because I'd been specially invited and got into this place, and the weather was so grim, and it was cold, and not many people had turned up to this wedding thing, and I don't know, I just felt like I was letting everybody down, and poor old Julia, she did get the grumpy Vobes there, which doesn't happen very often. Doesn't happen that often, but when you get it, by golly, you know you've got it. And she was doing her utmost, her up part most, to keep the Bald Explorer happy. So I thank you very much, Julia, if you're watching, for that. It's very kind, because I wasn't on my best performance then. But we did make the videos around the thing. We did watch the hand fastening. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm getting confused now. Anyway, we watched all that, and we made 2 videos, and we went round the church and stuff. So you'll get all of that. We did. I have to say, there was this lovely girl, because everybody's lovely in this show. There was this lovely girl called Kimberly, who gave us chapter and verse about the life and times of Gilbert White, taking us around room by room by room, giving us loads of facts. Absolutely amazing. She was seeped in knowledge, made me look like an absolute interloper. And then so we were gathering all this information, and I was looking at Julia, and she was looking at me, and I was sort of telepathically saying to her, remember this, won't you? Remember this, remember this. And I think she was sort of going, blimey, remember this, Vobes, remember that, will you? And we were desperately trying to remember it, and all these facts were being crammed into our head, and we were nodding and going, oh yeah, he did this, and it was published in 1899, and it was this, and there's the original manuscript, and there's a picture of him, and he's much slimmer, and we don't know quite what he looks like, and this was his room, and we don't know if this is absolutely accurate, and there was this, and we think this was that, and they were there. And we were going, yeah, okay, that's interesting. Yeah, well, blimey, really, that's interesting. We were absorbing as sponge-like creatures that we were. We were absorbing as much, but you know how a sponge gets to the point where the water's just, it doesn't matter. Throw any more facts at us, and they were just bouncing up. They had nowhere to go. They had nowhere to go. They were going in an ear. They couldn't even get in the ear. The ear was so crammed with facts that we would sort of like, we were beginning to shake, and there was steam coming out of our ears. It was quite a thing to see. Anyway. And then she said, oh, and then in this part of the house, and suddenly there was a whole 2 different exhibitions to go and see. And she didn't stop. She was lovely, because everybody's lovely in this show. And she took us to see the Frank Oates collection, which was about this explorer who, in the 19th century, went to South America doing some exploring, and then he went to South Africa and did some exploring, and he was also, and he was anything that was a challenge. He was into, and he was almost beaten up and killed and murdered, and had some terrible, I can't even remember now what he got up to, and so there was this whole story. It was absolutely fascinating and absorbing and interesting, and it was amazing, and we were like burning out like this, going, oh yeah, was he? Oh, that's nice, that's interesting. Yeah, and she was telling us more, and she was a lovely girl, and then she said, oh, and step this way, and we looked round, there was another room, another 2 rooms, And it was all about the story of, what was his name? Lawrence. Was it Lawrence? I can't remember his first name then. Lawrence Oates. Captain Oates. Captain Oates, the one who said, I'm stepping outside and I may not be back for a while. That one. I may be of some time, you know, him. With the Scott and the Antarctic expedition on May 2010. Not 2010. That was only last week. Not last week, but you know what I mean. Over 100 years ago. And with the bungled expedition down to the South Pole. And so there was a whole sort of exhibition about him because he was related to the Frank Oates. And anyway, the point was there was this fascinating story, and I was like, "Ooh, I'd love to know more about that." But I'm so drained now. The brain had begun to, you know, when if you eat something too much, it had swelled so much it was oozing out of the ears, and I was sort of engorged on these facts, and it was just you know. It's like you'd had too much port and cheese after a meal. It was like, and I was, you know, so there was I overfed on facts, and then she was telling us about this poor bloke, this Captain Oates, and they're all starving to death, they're freezing to death, they're out there in the flipping cold, they've eaten their horses, they've eaten their limbs, and they've got nothing else, and in the end he nips out, and then Scott snuffs it, and they're not rescued, and they're all dead, and it's all been a disaster. But they've made loads of notes. Now I thought to the lovely Julia, that's what we should have done, made loads of notes. But anyway, we couldn't do that. So that was more or less. So we had this wonderful chat, and so then when we came to do our video, we did one version of it. And we were like two gibbering, gabbling sort of nincompoops. We were kind of trying to regurgitate all this sort of stuff. We went into a room and said, "Oh, this was Gilbert Oates," and he started to write in the Naturalist with no clothes on in the South Antarctic, and we were getting it all wrong. And I looked at Julia, and she looked at me, and I said, "That was pants, wasn't it?" And she said, "Oh, what do you mean?" And she was a bit worried because I wasn't in the best of moods, and I was sort of, you know, throwing all the toys out of the pram. And then I threw the pram down the road, and we had no way of getting back. So we had a cup of coffee, and then we did it again. And I think the second version is actually a bit better, and we'll bung that up. That'll be up fairly soon. Next week is going to be the Glastonbury week, all the videos from Glastonbury, the trip in Glastonbury. And to be honest with you, probably Julia, at this point, having spent quite a bit of time in my presence, is probably a bit, it's, you know, the sort of little shine that there may have been going, oh, look, he's a YouTuber. It's probably completely gone now. She's seen all the sides of me that you don't want to see. But anyway, Glastonbury week will be next week. Next week's videos will be Glastonbury. So we had a lovely day. We did actually have a lovely day, and we stopped off at you know, anybody who works with the Vobes One-Eyed Kenobi, I always make sure that they're well looked after. So on the way back, I said, look, Julia, you know, you've come out this way. I need to make sure that you're well fed and everything. So, you know, to look after her and to, you know, make her feel special, I took her to a Tesco's Express and shoved a sandwich in her hand, which actually in the end I think she ended up buying herself. So yeah, that wasn't very good either. But anyway, never mind. Let's not dwell on all of that. So there we are. It's Karen Holdaway has arrived. Hello, Karen. You've joined right at the end of the show, which is a bit of a shame because it is now 9 o'clock, ladies and gentlemen. It's 9 o'clock and I have to go. So there you are. Tomorrow in tomorrow's show, just to give you something to think about, I'm going to be talking about guidebooks. What is the oldest guidebook that you've got? Have you got a collection of old guidebooks, and what do you prefer, modern guidebooks or old guidebooks when you go out and about? This one is I think this is 1950s or something, 49 it is. This is a guidebook I found in a second-hand bookshop called The Story of Cheddar. And old guidebooks have so much information, you need a year or so to actually read it and consolidate it into your brain. Whereas a modern one is bit more tabloid, is how I feel about it. But I'll be interested, what's your favourite guidebook? Bring it along tomorrow, we'll talk about that. And I'll tell you about my new EE gadget and how I'm going to be using it in tomorrow's show. So that's tomorrow's show. But, ladies and gentlemen, we have run out of time. We've run out of time. So many things we could have spoken about, but unfortunately we cannot. So, when you hear this music, You know it's time for me to pack my toys back into the pram, calm myself down, and get ready to upload tomorrow's video for you. So there we are, fun packed show. I'm amazed I managed to pull a rabbit out of a hat tonight, because an hour ago, or 2 hours ago, I had absolutely no idea what I was going to talk about. So there we go. There we are. It just goes to show the old Vobes manages to scrape by another one. I will see you tomorrow. It's been absolutely fun. Thank you so much for watching. It's always lovely to see you, and thank you for coming. One more quick view of little Dotty. There is little Dotty. How lovely little Dotty looks. But from me, arrivederci, and I will see you on the morrow. Until then, goodbye, ladies and gentlemen. Goodbye. Goodbye. Oh, wrong. That's you can be a patron there, but that's not the one I wanted to do. Where's the end caption? So hang on, it's just coming here. There we go. That's the one. Goodbye, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching.